care about you, so I really gotta let you know. The streets foul, man, gotta reap what you sow. It's grown men out here, grown, I never grow. Lil' might not be my blood, but you my little bro. Care about you, so I really gotta let you know. The streets foul, man, gotta reap what you sow. It's grown men out here, grown, that never grow. Lil' bro, turn on the news, another kid got shot. What's going on? What's going on, world? Welcome to another episode of How to Beat the Streets podcast. Now today, I got a good brother in the building, a special guy, former educator, author, public speaker, mind, body coach. I got the brother, Antonio Javar, in the building.
What's going on? What's going on?
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling blessed, bro. Blessed to be here. Glad to be here.
Appreciate that, man. I just want to start off by saying thank you. You know what I mean? Time is valuable in this world. Appreciate you stopping by. I already know the gems is about to roll out. It's going to be endless. You know what I mean? So everybody watching, make sure y'all tune in. And here on How to Beat the Streets podcast, we always get started with a quote. The quote we got for you today is, "The path is more important than the destination." What does that quote mean to you? Let's break that down.
The path is more important than the destination. I did a video about this recently. It just means that, you know, sometimes, a lot of the times, you know, what you're actually looking for, what you think you're looking for in the destination, you find in the path, right? And, you know, the path teaches you more about yourself. It teaches you what makes you different than other people. It teaches you grit. It teaches you how to keep going. It's what we're here to do, to live, to enjoy the actual journey. You know, you don't go to a movie and sit in the movie and, you know, go to sleep and then wait till you get to the end and be like, all right, it's the end, let's go. Like, you came there to see the movie. You came there to laugh. You came there to cry. You came there to enjoy the movie, the experience. So that's what makes the destination even more exciting when you get there, because you went through the path and you having fun on the path.
I like that, man, because I feel like a lot of people get, you know, they get lost in the journey and sometimes start forgetting why they did something or why they started something. And I feel like it's important for people to stay down and stay committed, because I feel like at the end of the journey, you know, it always gets greater later. You know what I mean? So to everybody out there, keep going, keep striving. Question of the day. Lately, it's been a lot of popular rap artists and similar things happening in the community. What do you think, when I say popular rap artists, a popular rap artist getting killed, excuse me, popular rap artists getting killed, brothers in the community getting gunned down. It's been a spike in gun violence amongst teenagers. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think we could do to start changing the narrative for our young black men?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. I would say we need systems that support our young men, our young black men, our young brown, Hispanic men. We need systems that support us, because the systems right now are not really supporting young boys and men of color. And until we can, you know, from the educational system, you know, in 2020, the decline in college enrollment was 7 times greater for boys than girls.
Wow. Right?
Boys are 50% more likely than girls to fail in all 3 key school subjects: math, reading, and science.
Wow.
You know? And so we also gotta check our own culture that supports violence, that supports things that are going to hurt our young boys our in their future, right? We got to check our own culture. You know, we don't want people outside our culture to check our culture, to check our lyrics and our rhymes and whatnot. Right. But we got to be the ones to do it so that others don't have to do it, and so that we don't lose more lives. Because young kids, they're going to do what they see.
They're attracted to it.
They're attracted to it.
And I know, like, shout out to you for running this program called I Am King. You had me on a panel a few years back, and I think you're doing some great work out there. How did you even have the vision to do that? And I feel like that's a big part of what we need out here. Like, that's one of the systems that we need. young brothers that's striving to do their thing and, take it to the next level in their own life, giving back and coming to, different boroughs and putting on programs like that, putting them around other men who can share their valuable stories. And that's why I did this podcast also, just so they can keep seeing positive young brothers, trying to strive and do what they need to do out here.
Yeah, I Am King is all about helping young men of color unlock their potential through creating inspirational programming and events that build community and help them celebrate their strengths to amplify the quality of their life. And I started it back in 2015 while I was actually 2014, I was working at the YMCA. And in 2015, I wanted to start doing these seminars that allow young boys and men of color to come together and speak what was going on in their lives, to have dialogue. And, now I Am King is a nonprofit. And, that started because I lost multiple cousins to gun violence in my life. My youngest cousin wasn't even 10 years old when he was gunned down in Miami, Florida. I've lost another cousin that was gunned down on Christmas morning, 2005. And these were all my cousins, my family members, my blood that were murdered by other black men, And so we may not be responsible for our trauma and our pain, right, that has been given to us through generations and things like that. But we've got to become responsible for our healing. We've got to stand up and say, we're going to do the work, the inner work, to not only change our lives, but to change the lives of young men that are all around us. And it's a constant journey. It's not one moment, okay, I'm healed, right? I'm still healing. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. It's a journey, going back to the journey, right? It's a journey. And as you do that work, you begin to reap the benefits of it immediately.
I definitely believe that, man. And that kind of inspires me to stay in the classroom sometimes. I go back and forth, just being on the grind and doing great things out here. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of things we can do. But that, just what you was talking about makes me want to stay in the classroom, because I feel like, what we doing on a daily in the classroom as far as black men, it inspires so many more young black men to start to elevate. But it leads me to my next question. Why do you think city to city, state to state, we so attracted to this gangster imagery? Like, why does everybody, I don't know, like, why is it even a thing that we just love it so much?
Before I answer that, I want to speak to that point you said, because, I was in the classroom too, and I still do work in the classroom at different times. But, one, appreciate Showtime while you got him, y'all. He's an incredible brother, an amazing teacher. But my point is, we got to get to a place where black men, where we can build up black men that don't feel like we need to be in the classroom, that we can create young black men that want to be there because they absolutely love it. I'm not saying you don't love it. I'm not saying that I didn't love it. We love helping our young people, but that part of us that feel like we need to be there, that we also, we want to cultivate and bring a culture of young men up that actually just really, really want it. And that's part of the healing and the work that we're all doing. So I just wanted to shout you out for that. But, it's bigger than us. It's been in the culture. They push it. They push it. People think that, the right conservatives, they just want guns, because they just want to have their rights. No, they like guns in the communities because they know, guess what? We killing each other.
Right.
So when we begin to, like I said earlier, check ourselves and begin to have these hard conversations with other brothers, with other men of color that say, hey, let's see if we could regulate that. Can we say that a better way? Can we figure out ways to deal with our anger, with our pain, with our trauma, and expand our emotional vocabulary?
That emotional vocabulary, I like that, man. I feel like being having emotional intelligence is like one of the biggest things I feel like we got to focus on in these next couple of years, because just one being in control of their emotions could change the whole universe. You know what I mean? Thinking before you act. You know what I mean? Feeling that feeling come up in your chest where you feel like, man, I want to do something. It's like when you can name the feeling and you can, like, put that aside and actually think, I think you on a powerful journey just by being aware of your emotions. You know what I mean? But we already got deep into this, man. Let's start by what's your name and where you from, man?
Antonio Javar from the 305, Dade County 305 MIA. Y'all already know.
Wow. So what you doing out here in the big city, man?
Man, I've been in New York 10 years, so I'm also, a Harlemite. You feel me? Shout out to Lennox, Lennox Ave. But, I was 12 years old. I came to New York with my mom, my dad, my brothers, and my aunt took me to the top of the Empire State Building. I was looking over New York City. I said, I'm going to live here. I felt the energy at 12 years old, and I wanted to be in a city where that New York energy, that you really can't get anywhere else. And when I graduated undergrad from Florida A&M, shout out to Rattlers, to the Rattlers. I went back to Miami for like 7 months, and then I was like, I'm moving to New York.
There you go.
I'm moving to New York.
New York, we stole one from Miami, huh?
Yeah.
So as far as education, how far did you take it? What was your last degree? Are you currently in school? Like, talk to us a little bit about education. Yeah,
so I got my bachelor's from Florida A&M University, the #1 HBCU in the country.
You hear that?
FAMU. And I'm currently getting my master's from Columbia University in clinical psychology with a concentration in spirit, mind, body at the Spirit, Mind, Body Institute. So it's a focus on holistic wellness and, using that to do the work that I'm doing now, to enhance the work that I'm doing now, supporting people of color, men of color, but also men in general, because we are, a lot of us, men are struggling, with mental health in a big way. So, and that's a big part of beating the streets.
Oh yeah, that's how I was gonna get right into that. But before I even think about that, what are you currently doing? You touched on it a little bit, but like, what you currently got going on right now?
Yeah, so I'm a mind body coach. I just put out I'm an author of The Center, How Our Thoughts, Feelings, and Beliefs
we need a copy.
Our Destiny.
Picking up right here.
Y'all see it. Y'all see. This book can transform your life. This book can really transform your life. It is a jewel. It is very, very powerful. And, I still do contracting sometimes with the organization where I go into schools and speak with young people on purpose and mindfulness at schools in Brooklyn. Oh. But that's what I'm doing now, and getting ready to release another ebook next month. All things mind, body, spirit. That's the work that I'm doing, and the work that I'm committed to, and that's part of my journey.
Got it, man. Salute to you on your journey and everything you're doing, man. I can't wait to dive into that book soon as you walk out of the studio today, for real. So growing up in Miami, man, Miami's been a place that a lot of people like to vacation, but it's also a place to have its own dark path to it too. It's a lot of things going on in Miami, and I was just watching the news, and XXXTentacion, his trial is on case right now. He got murdered by a few young brothers out there. So what was your biggest challenge growing up in the streets of Miami, and how you was able to beat them circumstances?
My mom dropped out of school in the 9th grade, and I lived in all parts of Miami, and I was different. I wasn't that into sports. I was more into music because I sing, I write as well. And for me, it was beating the streets, was beating my surroundings, beating, having to grow up in areas where, and they weren't all bad, right? But having to being different within myself. And I'm speaking to young men out there that may be different, that I was called black, I was called burned, I was called all type of names. I was, bullied, picked on, and that stopped after I began to fight back. But I saw a lot of things. I saw a lot of violence. You know, as I said earlier, my cousin was gunned down at 21 years old on Christmas morning.
Wow.
And, you know, he's the son of my aunt, legendary Betty Wright. I don't know, some of you may be familiar with her, but, you know, that was her son. And just from the time I was younger, you know, having our babysitter, you know, my mom, our babysitter, was gunned down when I was 4 years old. The constant gun violence, the constant loss of life, you know, can take a toll on you mentally.
Right.
And so I had to learn how to deal with that until I could learn how to overcome that. And I talk about that a lot in my book, The Center, overcoming, reestablishing myself, aligning back with who I really, really am. Because when we experience trauma, there's a part of our brain called the amygdala that records those traumas when we're kids. And, you know, I don't want to go too deep into it, but that's you know, the rough side of Miami. And yeah.
So being able to like overcome some of those things, like one, getting to know who you are, you know, getting to the center and understanding, you know, your circumstances, and even one, learning about yourself more, like you said, and then, you know, transferring that energy into other things. So like, what was some of the other things you was able to start to get into so you can get out of, you know, that whole mindset? Because like we said, that imagery could have coached you. Like you could have ended up, you know, in a gang. You could have ended up, you know, playing with guns and all that. So what was a few of those things that kept you, you know, off of that path?
You know, now that you mention it and I'm thinking about it, one of the biggest things that I feel like saved me was community. You know, and as I'm sitting here, I'm actually really thinking about it. I joined this organization in high school called Aspira, ASPIRA.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to Aspira. And actually, there used to be an Aspira of New York. You know, I actually did a couple of speaking engagements for them when I moved up here. But that was an organization that saved me, because not only did I find friends in there, I found mentors, I found advocates, I found people that taught me leadership skills. And after school, I was at Aspira meetings. I was doing Aspira events. You know, I was in finding my ways. You know, I also, you know, joined the choir. I sang, you know. So it was community. It was those pillars in the community that kept me out of trouble, you know. And, you know, I have brothers. I have nothing but brothers. That wasn't the same for all of my brothers, right? I have a brother that chose the opposite route, that chose the streets, right? And, you know, that's my brother. I love him to death, but he chose a different path, right? And so the initiatives that we have in our communities, the after school programs, the funding, you know, don't take those things lightly, because our children, our young people, they need them.
Right.
They cannot beat the streets without alternatives to beat the streets.
I hope y'all listening. Extracurricular activities is
you know,
important. Mentors.
Keep your kids, like promote, push your kids. Don't let your kids just go home and sit in front of the TV and play, you know, games. They don't know what they don't know. Right. But as adults, we have to be the ones, as mentors, as teachers, as coaches, as communities, we have to be the one to pour into them. Otherwise, we won't be able to beat the streets.
There you have it, y'all. Now, being that we're in a high school right now, what advice would you give to a 15-year-old who just not feeling school? Like, they, you know, the energy is not there. They feel like they don't need it. What would you tell that person?
I want to say take your feelings out of it. And you know, and that may sound like hard to do, but it's possible, you know, with enough people that can coach you and help you, and that's why community is important. Like, understand that you are not going to like every teacher. Understand you are not going to like every subject. Hard does not mean bad.
Right.
Hard does not mean wrong. Focus does not mean wrong. Like, you know, but I will also say a lot of our young people, a lot of our young men need therapy. They need emotional support, right? They've dealt with trauma. They've dealt with mental health issues. So we can't just tell our kids to do something when they are emotionally drained, when they are mentally struggling, right? So all of those factors play into it, but to do your best to focus on your vision. If you see things on Instagram or on TV or people that you want to be like, use those visions of wanting that to actually motivate you to now get in line and act right and focus on your grades and focus on your work so that you can achieve those things. Because I guarantee you, anything that anyone else have, you can have it too or more.
And that makes me think about mindset. I feel like, I've been on your Instagram, on your YouTube, and I know that you talk a lot about mindset and how our thoughts and feelings and beliefs could shape our destiny. So, like, let's hear that, Jim, from Brother Antonio, man. How can our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs shape our destiny?
Every thought is energy. And no matter what you're thinking, whether you're thinking about the past or you're thinking about the future, you're thinking about it now. Right? So
Gems.
if I was, and I'm not gonna go deep in this, but let's say I was abused as a child. I was me personally, I was mentally and emotionally abused as a child, right? If I go through my whole life thinking about that, right, now I'm reigniting those feelings. Your mind does not know the difference between what you're imagining to happen versus what's actually happening. So if I'm living in my present moment now and I'm imagining and thinking about all the things that happened to me in my past, now I am reliving those experiences in my body right now. Right? So therefore, I am affecting my state of being. My state of being will affect my actions. My actions will affect my destiny, which ultimately affects everything in my life. So your thoughts and your feelings affect, it's a law, right? It's not personal. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter how bad you think your situation is, or this happened to me or that happened to me. Like I said earlier, we may not be responsible for our pain and our trauma, but the moment you decide I'm going to take responsibility for my life and I'm going to begin to work on my own healing, every thought is a choice. This excludes if you having a mental health issue, or I'm not talking about people that may have been diagnosed with something where they need other help. But right. For most of us, every thought is a choice. But you have to realize that choice. I can choose to feel worry right now, or I could choose to look at all the things that I'm grateful for in my life. And that's how your destiny is affected, because everything that you think, whether about the future or the past, you're doing it now, and it affects your state, and your state is going to affect how much action you take, how much belief you have in what's possible, and your destiny.
There we go. More gems for y'all. Now, even listening to that bill you just delivered to the people, it made me think about so many people carry a lot with them every single day. So just yesterday, I seen one of your videos pop up, and you was talking about forgiveness. And I thought, like, man, how can people forgive themselves? Like, we talk a lot about people forgiving others for, past traumas and things like that. But how can people start to forgive themselves? Like, can you just share a few gems on how we could just start forgiving ourselves? Like, forget everybody else. I want to forgive myself for something I did in the past, or for something I thought about, or just this state that I'm in. I probably put myself in this position by, not doing the right things and all that. And now I keep beating myself up over and over, and now I can't progress. So how can I forgive myself? How can people forgive themselves? Because that's important.
It really starts with asking yourself some questions about your worthiness, who you really believe you are, what you believe you deserve. Because if you don't believe you deserve love, I give myself 1,000 chances. And when I get to 1,000, I start over with another 1,000. Like, there is no perfect human being. There is no manual. There is no, okay, here's exactly how your life is going to go, and it's going to be perfect.
Right.
It's understanding that the fact that you can forgive other people, or that you want to forgive other people, is all you need to know is that you can do the same for yourself. everything that you want to give, the love, the forgiveness, the support. If you see a little kid that's falling down on the ground that's trying to learn how to walk, you don't say, "Get up, dummy, get up, you little bad behind." You know, you encourage them, you support them, that is actually love that is coming outside of you.
I like that.
Right? So that's love that's coming outside of you towards another human being. So you can't tell me that you can't have love, right? For yourself. You may not be able to feel it. You may not be able to recognize it. You may not be able to accept it, but it is there. Love is in every single one of us, even if we feel disconnected from it.
Woo. And he's saying this on Love Day, man. This video going to drop, but this is February 14th, man. That wasn't scripted.
Okay, yeah, it is V-Day, right?
You know what I mean?
That's real. Love is inside of us, and the fact that when you don't feel love for yourself, when you don't forgive yourself, the reason that you feel bad, the reason you feel so bad is because it's so off, right? Like, it's so off. If I do what I'm supposed to do, if I say I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna work on my project today. When I lay in bed at night, how I'm gonna feel?
I'm gonna feel good.
I'm gonna feel good. I'm gonna feel grow. I'm gonna feel this. But if I decide I'm not gonna do nothing, I'm gonna just be lazy. I'm gonna ignore all of my goals. I'm not gonna call nobody like that. I'm gonna feel bad. Why? Because it's off. It's so off from who you really are. So forgiving yourself is you understanding that it's not about the situation. It's about saying, I'm so worthy that everything that love is unconditional. It is forever flowing. It is abundant. And do I want love to flow back to myself? Do I want love to flow to me, or do I want to block off love? Because when I can't forgive myself, now that unforgiveness energy is going to take me down some paths that is only going to allow me to what's the word I'm looking for? It's only going to allow me to put myself in more situations where I can now, life is going to show you are unworthy of forgiveness. So I'm not going to put myself in situations where now I can beat myself up more and more and more and more and continue to say, oh, you don't believe you're worthy of unforgiveness? Here's something else that you can do to make you worthy, more worthy of it.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're paying attention. You know, write some of this stuff down.
I was going fast, but this was coming out.
But they hear you and they're gonna respect that. And that leads me to the next part of the show. This part of the show is called Mama Love Gems. Speaking of love, you know what I mean? Just share something out there that your mom shared with you. Maybe it's a saying, a scripture, anything, a gem from your mama love, what she gave you. I know she probably gave you a lot. Give us one.
It's a blessing to still have my mom alive. It's a blessing to still have, because I know so many people don't have their mom.
No, that's for real.
So sending love to anyone that may be hurting or even just hearing, him say that, and it triggers memories about your mom. But just know that our parents live with us. They live inside of us. They live in our heart, and no one can ever take that away from you. But, my mom is a woman of God. She's that type of mom that she's sending out, scriptures to me and my brothers, every morning, like, but my mom, she always encourages me to keep going, to just work hard, to keep going, to believe in myself. And, that's special to me, because growing up, me and my mom was a tough love mom. My mom was an entrepreneur, had her own beauty salon for 30 years, even though she dropped out of school in the 9th grade. But she's an example of keep going, don't give up on yourself, and, and invest in yourself, and always praying. So, that's really what I love about my mom, is that, she's a big encourager, and she's a big believer.
Dope, man. Shout out to Mama Love, man. Hope she listening. Hope she tuned in.
Hey.
All right, so as we get closer and closer to the end, this part of the show we call Putting You On segment. So if you could share maybe a book, a movie, podcast, song, Bible scripture, anything that kind of like helped you, keep a level head, keep pushing forward like you just talked about, or just, put your positivity back in motion. Like, what would that be?
So one, The Center by Antonio Javar. Nah, I was just joking. No, but I'm serious though. There's a book called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. You know, it's a quick read, but it's a powerful, powerful book. And he really gets at the basis of love and acceptance and peace, you know. And that book it's a powerful book. One of the things he talks about in there is, you know, don't take things personally. You know, what other people do is not about you, it's about them. That's a great book. There's a book that I would say was the first book I started reading on my spiritual journey, I would say my journey to awakening. And it's called The Divine Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. The Divine Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. You know, this book was written, I think, in like the 1940s and 1950s, but it's a powerful, powerful book. And she really goes into so many spiritual principles about life and prosperity and joy and peace. And a song, it's a Christian song by a lady named Helen Miller called I Won't Let You Fall. If you're going through anything, if you are, you know, struggling right now, you feeling like you can't make it, you know, it's a really, really, really encouraging, powerful song. And, you know, those are three, you know, two books and a song that I think would help a lot of people.
Appreciate you sharing that. I shared my most recent read. I've been reading The Truth About Men by Javar Franklin. I make sure that's his name. So that book, I decided to pick it up because, you know, I lost my father at a young age. My father got shot and killed when I was 8. So I feel like I was always in search of, you know, what is true manhood? Like, what is a man supposed to do? How is a man supposed to treat a woman? How is a man supposed to treat himself? So when I picked that book up, you know, it changed my life because he just gave out so many gems about the things that, you know, just thinking about how far the black man has came. A lot of men, like you could think about your grandfather's father. Most likely your grandfather's father was probably, you know, didn't have a lot, poverty. Even some of my grandfather's fathers could have been slaves. So it's like I feel like the pathway of black men, it's been a struggle from the beginning. Like for me, my grandfather was locked up. By the time my father came home, my father ended up getting killed. You know what I mean? My brother ended up locked up. So it's like we still, you know, overcoming battles. You'll be lucky if your family already had like properties or businesses and stuff like that, or cleaners or something, and they passed that down. But a lot of us, you know, the men that came before us were still trying and still struggling. So the fact that, you know, some of us are doing great things like yourself, writing books, and we in schools and we got salary jobs and all that stuff, we can't take that lightly because we are our ancestors' wildest dreams and we living it out. So hopefully, you know, when we have our kids, they grow up and they do even, you know, greater things. So we the start of building that legacy. So that book is dope if you want to learn more about men and manhood and things like that.
That's powerful.
Now, 3 key takeaways from your life story. Let's get into it. Like if we reading a personal book, somebody, you know, watching the show right now, learning all about you and your story, what is 3 gems from your story that you could give us? Let's hear number 1.
Number 1. Number 1. This is a big one, and this is what I'm doing every single day, and this is for everybody. Fall in love with all of you. Fall in love with all of you. Fall in love with your flaws. Fall in love with your talents. Fall in love with your gifts. Fall in love with your imperfections. Fall in love with your scars. Fall in love with your past. Fall in love with your humanity. Fall in love with all of you. Don't just like you. Don't just be cool with you, but understand that you are a rare gift. And every single day I'm increasing my capacity to love myself, if you really understood when we talk about trauma, when I realized how much trauma I experienced in my life as a kid, When you realize how much trauma, when you lose family members, when you lose things, it's a lot, right? The second one I would say is give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Like, we are wired to worry. We are wired to self-hate, to criticize, right? But that's not the natural state of being, right? Give yourself grace. Give yourself, you are never going to win by constantly beating yourself up. Anything that you are trying to do or trying to be, you got to talk positive to yourself. I'm not bad. I just haven't figured it out. It's going to work out one day. I'm still learning. I'm still getting it right. Yeah, I messed up again, but it's going to be okay. Give yourself grace, because your thoughts have power. One of my mentors say, you are so powerful you can choose bondage. You are so powerful that you can choose every day to wake up and think negative thoughts about yourself and walk that path. But give yourself grace, because you're never going to break out of that jail, that mental prison, until you begin to love yourself from within. The last one is live in your experience. Live in your experience. I'm so glad to be where I am right now in my life, because I'm living in my experience. I'm not comparing who has more money or who has less money. I'm not comparing this other person's journey and who's an author and who's doing meditation and who's trying to. I'm not comparing no one else's journey. God put me here for a reason. There's no other Antonio Javar, and there's no other you. There's no other Ramel, no other Showtime, no other Chris, no other Mike, no other Tommy, or whoever you are. There's no one else like you. So live in your experience. Get off the internet. Stop comparing who's on Instagram and how many and how fast and this and that. Because while you're watching someone else's life, you are missing your own life. You are missing the signs that are trying to unfold for you. You cannot walk your path and be looking at someone else's path. If I'm driving a car and my eyes is focused on the other person, I cannot see what's in front of me. So live in your experience, because you need your own experience and someone else does too.
Woo. Oh man, look, let the people know where they can find you, you know, what you got out, the book, where they could get the book, and everything you got going on.
You can check me out on my website, AntonioJavar.com. That's AntonioJavar.com. You can purchase my book there, The Center, How Our Thoughts, Feelings, and Beliefs Shape Our Destiny. If you are struggling with depression, if you are struggling with your own self-worth, if you are just trying to figure out how to deal with negative thinking, this book is incredible. You are able to journal in the book. I also have an ebook out called Awaken, 5 Ways to Calm Your Mind for Meditation. If you are stressed out, if you are dealing with your own mental anguish and you are looking to get into meditation, meditation is not something that you have to learn to do, y'all. It's something you allow. Meditation is not something you learn to do. It is very easy. It is just breathing and tapping into your inner self. I also do one-on-one meditation coaching if you're interested in doing that. And, you know, you can follow me on Instagram at Antonio Javar. I'm constantly uploading inspirational videos. And stay tuned for more courses, ebooks, and events coming soon. So thank you very much, my brother, for having me.
You already know, man. All right, y'all. Here you have it. Another dope episode of How to Beat the Streets featuring the brother Antonio Javar. Make sure y'all tap in.